Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another F1 2019 mod gameplay video here today, and we're back with some more pre-season testing, as it were. It's week number 2 IRL, and so we're back again with a second video here with Daniel Ricciardo this time, trying out his brand new 2019 Renault Car. Of course, he's going to be alongside Hulkenberg for this season. Testing's been going pretty smoothly so far for the Renault F1 team, so I thought I'd check out how things are going to go in this race with Ricciardo, and we're actually going to be racing this time at Paul Ricard. So we did the Circuit de Catalunya last time out with that Sebastian Vettel video. If you didn't see that, by the way, there'll be annotation on the top right to that video we did at Spain with Vettel, and a last question mark challenge effectively there at the Spanish Grand Prix for some pre-season testing there. Today we're going to be driving at Paul Ricard. No last question mark challenge this time. We'll be just doing some random grid order, so I think we're actually out in P10, which is okay. I suspect in real life Renault would be a little bit upset with being down in P10 with Ricciardo, but we'll try and make the most of it here. And I've chosen Paul Ricard because I didn't want to do the same exact circuit, and Paul Ricard obviously was a test circuit and was a place that the F1 teams did go testing last season in the middle of the season for some tyre tests, so I thought we'd come here for the second video here as we drive as Daniel Ricciardo. So here we go then to 5 red lights for a 25% race around Paul Ricard. We go to 5 red lights and we're underway from P10 on the grid. It's a bit of a slow start then, a whoppingly great start for the Haas Rich Energy car right behind us there on the left hand side. Magnussen that was, and he actually went to the back of Carlos Sainz in the McLaren into turn 1. Sainz side by side with our new teammate Nico Hulkenberg as we just about creeped through and managed to keep P10, but could have easily got swamped there. And you can see the yellowish helmet for Daniel Ricciardo, because of course he hasn't unveiled his brand new 2019 helmet so far. He's been running a test special helmet as we now send one down the inside of the man we effectively replaced. Remember, Carlos Sainz in the McLaren, his new surroundings there alongside Lando Norris, and now we're up into P9 just about wrestling the car through. It's very slidey on the rear end indeed on that long right-hander, but now we're going to try and do the best to close up to Hulkenberg, who finds himself right at the gearbox. I think that's Sergio Perez in the Racing Point car. Meanwhile, I believe at the moment, it looks like on the minimap, Sebastian Vettel leads the way from Hamilton. Then you've got the kind of checkerboard of the Red Bull Hondas, and then the other Ferrari of Leclerc. And actually speaking of Vettel, there he goes defending against Verstappen, and look at this, look at a shot of that, 3 wide between the Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes. Absolutely amazing scenes there. Great camera angle and shot, and if that happens in real life, I think we'd all be very, very happy indeed to see the 3 top teams battling out that hard. And Hamilton comes out on top then in first place. Verstappen is up into second, and Vettel is down to third, just ahead of Valtteri Bottas. Then you got Pierre Gasly, Leclerc, and then, as I said, this Racing Point car of Sergio Perez, who's being followed very closely by Hulkenberg, and we are actually catching up to Hulkenberg quite nicely in Sector 3, so can we try and maybe make a move? We get a very nice apex there, good exit actually. We're going to bump this thing up into hot lap mode on the ERS, you can see, then to overtake mode as we go up into 7th and 8th gear. Rich mix flowing, got a very good run on our new teammate here to the inside of turn 1, as late on the brakes as possible, going very tight to turn 1 because we have to give Hulkenberg the room, and he's still there on my right hander, and he's actually got a very good run actually through that second corner, and so he's actually got the edge over us there. Can we hang it around the outside? It's going to be very tricky, but we just about manage it. Yellow flags though up in for some reason there. Oh, it's a car off. It's Valtteri Bottas who's got some issues there, and I think he might just be out of this Grand Prix. Yes, Bottas in one of the Mercedes cars out of the French Grand Prix this test session, and we're ahead of Hulkenberg then into P7. So I think that was just about legal. I think we got the move done just as we entered the yellow flag section, and I was ahead of him already, as now we can see up ahead of us we've got Vettel going around the outside of Max Verstappen. I think that is no, it's actually my bad. It's Leclerc on the outside of Gasly then. Couldn't quite tell which fight that was because both Ferrari and Red Bull cars are kind of close together. You can see Vettel's chasing after Verstappen still in P3 to P2 respectively, and similarly enough Leclerc and Gasly doing a battle for behind, so I couldn't quite tell with the lighting there, but so far it's Hamilton that still leads the way, but his teammate is now out of this French Grand Prix test race, as now we're closing up to Sergio Perez in that Racing Point car, doing very well for himself here up in the lofty height of P6, but can we try and spoil the party then, trying to get as close as we dare, slam on the throttles early as we can there, picking it up quite early actually, and so that's very good on the exit overtake mode. DRS activated now, Rich Mix going as well, and so this should be hopefully a fairly easy done pass to the inside, but actually we swing it down on ERS to medium, and so that gives us a long side, and we just about make that actually, as I wanted to save enough ERS, because of course compared to my recent career mode videos, the ERS obviously isn't as efficient, and Hamilton has now got an issue. Both Mercedes cars maybe out of this Grand Prix, maybe? Hamilton looks like he's still going on, just going very slowly, so maybe he's got some sort of other issue there. But both Mercedes cars having the worst luck in the world, and so we'll see if that's going to be any sort of wizardry and bad omen for the season to come up. But Hamilton there with a puncher, that is, on the replay. So puncher on the front right. Bottas had a fully mechanical issue, and he's out of the Grand Prix. Hamilton's just going to have to trundle back to the pit lane then for a pit stop. And now Vettel has a look on the outside of Verstappen, but can't quite make it. So the Dutchman now, for now, leads the Grand Prix in the Red Bull Honda, and Vettel and the Ferraris up into second place. But Hamilton with a really unfortunate puncher there. Very random. Didn't look like there was any debris there. So I don't know, maybe the Mercedes car was just very tough on its tyres, which might be a case in real life, because that we've heard from the real life drivers in the testing so far. The handling needs to be upgraded somewhat. They've brought upgrades for week 2 in testing, but we'll see if it's going to do anything for their tyre wear. That definitely was one issue they had from last season. As we now catch up to Gasly, though, on that for the virtual safety cars called out. I suspect that's probably for Hamilton, who's probably still trundling around in Sector 3 trying to make it back to the pit. So the virtual safety cars called out. We all kind of, stop on our tracks and have to drive to the same delta time, so a good time to save ERS and fuel there. And like I was saying before Hamilton's incident, obviously right now with the mod and we're driving in a Grand Prix mode session in the game, the kind of ERS efficiency is not as high as it is in Season 8 of the career mode without any upgrades there. So the ERS really depletes very, very quickly, like it did back in Season 1 of the career mode episodes. And so having to get used to that once again and really try and manage that as much as we can, down to low and none quite a few times. We have a look on the outside of Gasly on the restart of the green flag there after the virtual safety car period, but a lot of dirty air on that right-hander, so nearly went complete off circuit. Having to try and recompose ourselves on that 4 and just try and stick with it. So we do so as we now have this slingshot onto the main back straight, where Gasly well within DRS of Leclerc, and I'm within DRS of Gasly. So let's see what we can do. Opening DRS overtake mode now. We're gaining, but Gasly has the aid of DRS off Leclerc as well. But could we just make it? It's going to be a late one. A little bit of a screen freeze there, but we go late on the brakes, and we just about managed to keep the car on the road there. Got very fine and close to that. And now you can see Leclerc had a bit of a look at Verstappen. We're up into P3 because at this stage Vettel has pit in now for his pit stop. So that is why Verstappen is in P1, fending off Leclerc in P2, because Vettel has made his pit stop a little bit earlier than most of us there. So trying maybe an undercut strategy here, as now Leclerc is right on the back of Verstappen. We're joining up as well. But a good overtake on Gasly, made that work, lays we won, and that's a bit of payback really for the career mode episode we had at Paul Ricard just gone by 2 days ago here, when we couldn't get Gasly quite in that career mode episode, as we now chase after Leclerc in the last few corners and maybe try and do anything on him on this next straight. We've got DRS there, go a little bit deep though into the last corner, so Gasly might have a good run as Leclerc now dived into the pit lane for a pit stop. So both Ferrari cars in for their earlier pit stops compared to myself and the 2 Red Bulls, and now Gasly's got a great run. We're down to lower ERS modes here to try and save ERS because we've hardly got any on the bar, and Gasly round the outside. A lock-up though, bad lock-up on the front left, means he's still slow enough, and we're right on the back of him there, so he's still on the heels. Can we maybe make a move to the inside of this next right-hander? Gasly goes very defensive actually, and tries to maybe cut off that area of the track, and so we try and switch it to the left-hand side. Doesn't work out, and just stick to the racing line then, and maybe try and make a move on the back straight here. But that was pretty much a sitting duck kind of situation there, because you saw on the bottom right I went down to medium by the time I got to turn 1, because I just didn't have any ERS left to kind of deploy on the next lap, so we had to save some in order to use the very overtake mode we're using right now to catch back up to Pierre Gasly now to the inside there, late on the brakes, and we are going to get that squeeze him out. Look behind us, make sure we give him the room, and we do squeeze him out fairly enough, and we're back up into P2. I forgot to mention actually though, myself and the 2 Red Bull cars both all started on the super soft tyres, so that is a good reason why the Ferrari cars have gone a little bit earlier on the pit stops than we have, because collectively we're on the harder tyre, because obviously being a Grand Prix session, no Parc Fermé was called on. There was no qualifying, as it were, randomly assigned grid slot, so all of us could start on whatever tyre we wanted to. So both Red Bulls and both Renaults, actually, myself and my teammate Hulkenberg, started on the super softs, and now we get a chance to go onto the faster tyres, and that's maybe why we were a little bit quicker, than the Ferrari cars right at the end of that stint, because their tyres were going off. And now we get a chance to go onto the ultra soft tyre, the fastest compound available around Paul Ricard. And there is Vettel, there is Leclerc out into turn 1, and so there we are, and a little bit of clean air, so we can try and push on and close up to Leclerc, whilst both Red Bull Hondas continue on for their laps. But eventually, Gasly and Verstappen will both come in, and this is Verstappen coming in. Gasly's already made a pit stop 1 lap earlier, so there goes Vettel to turn 1, P1, then Leclerc, myself in P3, Verstappen P4, and Gasly P5. So we have successfully jumped both Red Bull cars, or kept ahead of Gasly and jumped Verstappen there. And so it's a 1-2 for Ferrari, so Leclerc has done well to also jump Verstappen, and Vettel has inherited P1 then. And so let's see how long this 1-2 will last. We're going to try and spoil the party maybe, because we have DRS now on lap 10. 4 laps remaining, including the one we're on right now. We're gaining on Leclerc, but we might not have enough to just make a move. But we got a massive screen freeze, and Leclerc with a huge lock up there in the front left, and he's gone a little bit flustered there. We're down the inside now, and we are maybe able to make the move there. We're a little bit wide. We're on hot lap mode, trying to cut back in, but Verstappen comes out of nowhere then. He's had a much better exit on that left-hander, and he's round the outside of Leclerc, and we're a little bit slow now into the right-hander, as now Gasly's made a pop down the inside, and it's all kicking off here. Got 4 cars so close together. Gasly's caught me napping a little bit. We're going to try round the outside, and it's a bit of deja vu for me. If you watch my career mode episode uploaded 2 days ago, this is a very similar situation to what we had against Gasly in our career mode episode, as we're literally on the left hand side again. He's on the right, but this time determined to keep my foot in there, but he's also equally keeping his foot in. He's very aggressive there on the right hander. We brake early, go for this switchback move and trying to get early exit, but we've not got too much ERS. You can see the bar on the right hand side, the blue bar, is pretty much 2 tenths left. So we don't have too much electrical deployment left, so we're in overtake mode for now, but I just can't afford to go anymore, so we have to go down to none and save that ERS maybe for later on. We've only got 3 laps left, but still need to do some tactical thinking about the ERS and the fuel. You can see I have to go down to lean mixture because I'm also on high fuel, so, you know, being aggressive and trying to attack the top guys has its consequences in terms of I've really pushed the limits of this car, and kudos to Verstappen, to be fair to him, for catching myself and Leclerc kind of flustered and obviously side by side, and he's up into P2 now and can chase after Sebastian Vettel. So the 2 Red Bulls are looking very good around Paul Ricard. You know, very technical circuit, so not surprised the Red Bulls are looking good, and the Ferrari cars maybe suffering a bit more tyre wear than the Red Bulls here this afternoon. But Gasly now is up in P4, right up the chuff of Leclerc. And as we move on now to the last 2 laps of this Grand Prix, Verstappen now goes to the move with DRS open, and he's cleanly passed Sebastian Vettel for P1 in this test race here at Paul Ricard. Vettel in 2nd place now, and also has been an overtake behind with Gasly and Leclerc swapping position. So it's a checkerboard of Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull and Ferrari, with Leclerc in P4 now. The car I'm going to try and chase after. But now as we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, we've done some good work at saving a decent amount of ERS. You can see just over half of the ERS bar is there for us to deploy as we go up to hot lap mode and also rich mix. But it's the last lap, and we're a little bit too far back from Leclerc. I don't know if we'll be able to do this. We open DRS, then overtake mode, rich mix, but we just sit here patiently, see how much we can gain. But Leclerc also is probably pushing hard, and so we're nowhere near him by the time we get to the end of that back straight into that brake zone. We've made a fair few passes already in this test race, but as we go towards the last sector, then I don't have the pace. I don't think we're close enough there, and we're also running out of fuel. We're going to have to stand in mixture, and also watch out on the ERS, because we're now going down to about 3 tenths of the bar, and so we'll have to maybe go down to lower ERS modes in Sector 3 and save that to make sure we get to the end without kind of derating and not having anything to deploy right at the end here. But we're actually closing up a little bit through that right-hander, so we're still going to pressurise Leclerc as much as we can, but it's just so difficult. It's so off-camber in this sector, so difficult to overtake. And so in the end, as we go through the last few corners there on the mini-map, you can see through the last corner we'll go Verstappen in P1. We get very close to Leclerc. We nearly chop him off there as we try and make a last desperate effort, but it's going to be Verstappen from Vettel, Gasly and then Leclerc, and we come home in P5 at this test race.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy and to stay out of trouble.
So here come our winning drivers today, and what a race it was. There's been a big push at the factory lately to get these cars ready, and we can see the fruits of that labour today as Red Bull lift the winner's trophy.
So So it's P5 there. We couldn't quite keep Gasly or Leclerc at bay, but to be fair, in real life, I think Renault would be pretty chuffed with P5 there. Pretty much best of the rest if you don't count the Mercedes cars. Obviously, both of them having issues there. So if you guys did enjoy the episode, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments. If you want to see more from the F1 2019 mod, then do let me know in the comments below, guys. If you are new around here, you can subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been around for 100 today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.